And good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome you to this Tuesday, November 10th, to our Passionately Speaking call. I'm going to be your host this afternoon, Jason Christopher, along with my co-host, CJ. I want to welcome you on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. I want to thank you for joining us. Arvee is attending another speaking call as we are speaking today. She's on another call right now from an event that was moved to this particular date. So she's maintaining her level of integrity and and is speaking at that event right now. So we wish her well, but I am grateful to be your host today and grateful for Arvee giving me this opportunity to connect with you and to share. And for today's topic this afternoon, we are going to go through the 7 non-negotiable rules of public speaking. 7 non-negotiable rules of public speaking, which is very important right now as we enter into the virtual world. Very important that these seven uh, points really be a part of our demonstration on a regular basis. All right, so with that said, let's just get right into it. Okay, and can everyone see that screen?
Yes, sure can. Looks good.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So the 7 non-negotiable rules of public speaking, both live and virtual. So we're going to take a little bit of what we learned from the physical speaking realm, and then we're also going to incorporate that along with some very non-negotiable, profound rules in the virtual realm that we definitely always need to embed and keep a part of our demonstration as we move further and further into this virtual realm, which is going to be with us for quite some time. I think projectively till the fall of 2021. All right, so what would be is rule number one? Oh, and presented by my Padawan. Thank you, Arvee, for this tab. I appreciate that. Always and forever will be her Padawan. It's great to be invited by the master. The problem is that when speaking live and virtually, most business presenters don't know the rules. Rule number one is becoming the script. And what does it mean to really become the script? That really is for the content that you have laid out. It's going to be, in a simple term, becoming the script means really a devotion to your rehearsal time, uh, into learning the script, into learning your content. That's not necessarily going to say to memorize the content, but it's just becoming the script is just like memorizing your favorite song. And so the more and more times that you listen to it and rehearse that, the more in a sense that you become in character with the song, or maybe in a sense those words become you. And pretty soon you have a lot more fluid flow. Um, the one of our standards, as you well may be familiar with, is that you allow for 1 hour for every 2 minutes of content. So in a simple case with 15 minutes, you're looking at, I'm sorry, a 30-minute presentation is about 15 hours worth of rehearsal time. Be important at this point, and really not to memorize the script, but as you still continue to rehearse and rehearse, you'll find that those words, you'll find some, there'll be some key points of wording that will come to you and that will assist you in really creating a flow with your presentation. Rule number two, stay on time. This is really important as you get into the rehearsals, because once you time in the virtual world is going to be very limited. In this day and age, the time for speaking in most virtual speaking engagements is no more than 30 minutes, minimum 15 minutes, no more than 30. And so it's very important with the time that you are given, even if whether it's being by yourself or in terms of a group, that your time frame, that you stay within your time frame. So therefore, that's a key in becoming the script. Part of becoming the script is also knowing your time. And so you'll know when to, at least to how much time you may have for ad lib, how much time you may need to cut short, but definitely knowing when to begin and finish on time. This is very key because a couple of things may be happening in the virtual world if you're not on time. It is possible that your conversation with your audience could be interrupted. It is possible that You may also be muted if you go over time. So you must be dead on with your time. Rule number 3, build rapid rapport. Okay, so now this is important when we look at involving our audience. We want to be sure to greet people as they come in. I've always heard a lot of times the sweetest sound to a person's ear is the sound of their own name. And so when you greet people on, be sure to just thank them for coming through. When you building rapport also means a great deal of sharing. You might have a small conversation before your presentation, or because a public speaking presentation is really a conversation. Having open-ended questions in your presentation really will help to rebuild rapport. And be sure to say, thank you for joining us when you're on these virtual calls. Especially when people have a tendency to, even have a tendency of coming in late. Be sure to just acknowledge them and greet them and thank you, and really welcome them for joining the call. That would absolutely allow them to feel warm and welcome and be engaged right on the spot. Rule number 4, over delivering without overwhelming. Okay, so this is key because in going back to rehearsals, delivering too much meat in your work, in your presentation, could work against you. Now, I heard that a great conversation is like a mini skirt. It should be short enough to be interesting, but long enough to cover the subject. So so that it means to really, with that said, it's kind of having a little, just the right amount of meat um, is is very pertinent to make sure that you cover what exactly you say you're going to cover, and then just giving a little bit more, nuggets on top of what you're going to share also adds value to your conversation. So at the beginning, it's recommended on your presentations, let people know upfront what they're going to get, and even kind of even break it down, take them through what's going to happen with them, and then they won't be so surprised at the end, either what's coming up short or what they also receive in addition to what you promised to present to them. Okay, rule number 5, create an individual experience. So when you're giving a presentation in the virtual world, creating an individual experience really will help with really assist in the engagement and insist in the participation, the attentiveness. So when it comes to audience participation, and this is something that we have uh, we have really emphasized in a lot of our speaker training intensives, the Million Dollar Speaker Summit, utilize in the virtual world, utilize the comments in the chat box. Ask them to present comments, ask them to answer open-ended questions in the chat. Use reactions. Use reactions in terms of there's also on the taskbars in Zoom, you have under the, I believe it is the participants window, there's opportunities for people to express with a hand raising or a thumbs up or with clapping. You can also use that as you put on a gallery view. You can use hand gestures if you happen to ask anyone who wishes to share, watch for hands to go up and call on that person. Raising hands physically, I just mentioned that. So anytime, going back to open-ended questions or having someone to share, you may have presented something in there that may enable for someone who receives that, something may be showing up for that person, and this is a great opportunity to have someone have their hand raised and share what has shown up from them after what you delivered. Let's see. Okay, nonverbal icons and verbal involvement. This again is going more into with sharing. Sharing is going to be a big key in really the development of your presentation. It's not just by what you give, It's also going to be what you receive. And so if you have verbal involvement with your audience, in terms of limited time, but enabling that open space to create and share, there's it's not maybe not so much what you give, but what also listeners will get from others that will be just as valuable. Going into breakout rooms, that's a very unique area of sharing. Again, where you have people breaking out into groups of 2 or 3, maybe in sometimes in 6 and 10. Breakout rooms really provide that private space and that openness for real open sharing. And it's also a little bit more intimate as well. And so breakout rooms is definitely something I recommend to be a part of your presentations if you can allow that. Whiteboards. Whiteboards are also good for audience participation. And Arvee's favorite, as she's growing to do it, is giving quizzes at the end. Rule 6, telling stories. Now, this is really probably a bread and butter for me about in terms of my presentations. The heart of the matter really lies in the telling of the stories. Now, from this, as much as we are students in Arvee's opus of public speaking, who can name me any one of the 4 stories that can be a part of anyone's presentation? Jackie, be sure to unmute yourself.
Professional.
Professional is one story. Very good. Anyone else? CJ.
Story with a lesson.
Stories with a lesson. We've got 2 more. Lisa?
Funny stories? Is that one of them? A funny story?
Okay, so that would go under emotion.
Okay, emotional story.
Emotional story. So yes, funny definitely is a part of an emotional story. And the last one would be
emotional.
We've got lesson, we had professional, we've got emotional. The last one come to mind for anybody?
Success.
There you go. Success. Way to go, Liz. Way to go. And so there's a couple of things here in stories because this is really at the heart of the matter to your presentation. I want to offer 5 story guidelines that really go involved in creating that professional story. And then there's also 4 questions to a success story that I feel are also would enhance your presentation. Let's go over the story guidelines a bit for your professional story. 1 is purpose. The earning the right for you to share. The second part of a story guideline is start with a time frame. Start with a time and place. The third story guideline is a rags to riches, something from a messy context to where your light shines bright, or rather a mess to success, so to speak. Okay, guideline number 4, heal off stage, not on stage. And number 5, be memorable without leaving a scar. Be memorable without leaving a scar. Now, let's go talk a little bit about success stories. And then for a moment, let me give you 4 questions that I found really work well in terms of your success story. 4 questions in components to a success story is how my life was before you entered into an arena of development, how your life was before you really sought after the solution and applied the action. Once you did apply the action, what did you get present to? And then as you got present to it, what was available? What became available to you now as a result of once you being involved in that action? And then the last thing is, what's your life like after you participated? So if you think back to when all of us may have taken a speaker training intensive to develop ourselves as public speakers, one question would, how was your life before you entered public speaking? How was your business like? How was your way of being? And then once you entered a speaker training intensive, what did you get out of that what did you get present to while you were learning some of the structures, while you were learning some of the nuances to public speaking and some of the rules? Then like what was available to you as you started to mix and play with your development of your story or the structure of your presentation? And then lastly, when the course was completed, you know, what's your life like after, now that you've become students and are in that professional speaking arena? What is that like? So Arvee enabled me to create a little bit of space to, if it's all right with you, I'd like to share a recent 2-minute success story that I have been assigned to put together for one of my leadership programs that I'm currently involved in. And this is a share that I'm coordinating for an introduction into a forum. Okay, so let me preface this up by, if those of you who are familiar with the Landmark Forum, one of the, oh, that's great, Renee. You familiar with it? Did you take a course in that?
Yeah, I took the forum, I took the advanced, the the forum, the advanced SCLP and communication, and about 14 other courses.
Fantastic.
Landmark.
Fantastic.
And I did too. I did several of those courses. Renee, Dr. Renee, we tend to hang around the same crowd.
Great. So that's, I know. Exactly. So currently in one of my leadership programs that I'm involved in, we were asked to, you know, create some sharing. And what I'd like to read from you is the success story that I developed on from that. So, okay, now we're going to look at the second page in your syllabus in a day 2. And we're going to look at how identities get constructed. In this segment, we inquire into how our identity, who we consider ourselves to be, got created. The process began in childhood as we gradually adopted ways of being and acting to deal successfully with the things that didn't quite go the way we thought they should. By the time we reached adulthood, we have assembled a set of practices and approaches, attributes and characteristics that seem to give us a certain level of success, the makeup of our personality, our style, and who we consider ourselves to be. Now, while going through the distinctions of how identities get constructed, I shared how receiving physical punishment as a child created a world where I had to figure out a way to survive. I was 12 during one particular lashing. The belt struck my left eye. I went to school the next morning with a blackened eye and a swollen eyelid. Despite the ice packs I used to reduce the swelling of my eye, it didn't reduce the swelling of embarrassment I endured for 3 whole days. When I was 12, I decided a head down into the books, shut up and figure it out on your own way of being was a safer bet. This decision ultimately produced a well-educated summa cum laude graduate, yet left me without real freedom and true self-expression. The impact of having part of my identity designed to be analytical and avoid confrontation left me trapped with a significant range of expression be unavailable from my view. I had no access to my full self-expression. In the Landmark Forum, I saw that so much of my life was designed to avoid those incidences in my childhood. I got freedom from being some identity, like head down and in the books, do it alone. When I saw that there is no real threat out there to anyone, when I saw there was no real threat out there anymore, I no longer had to keep my mouth shut until I figured it all out and be the perfect son. What I created was I wanted to discover the real joy in just being in a dance with people. Since creating this, I now have a public speaking mentor, and I've confirmed my education at Landmark with the intention of becoming an international speaker and trainer and forum leader, knowing myself as someone who makes a difference, leaving others empowered and in action, fulfilling on what matters to them. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Beautiful.
Very good.
That's
Yeah.
very good.
Very nice.
Yeah,
That
great.
was excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent, Jason.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
very
much. I
good.
Very
appreciate
good.
that.
Yes.
So I hope
Yeah,
that will
love
give you
that.
some idea about of what a success story can appear.
Now, was that a minute? Was that a 1 minute or 2 minute?
That's a 2-minute share.
Okay, that was fantastic.
Okay, so now, as we already perhaps revealed the answers to these, there are 4 different kinds of stories that you must add to your presentation, true or false. You can
True.
all say that all together.
True.
1, 2, 3.
True.
True.
Can I
All
say
right.
something about that, Jason? One
Yes,
comment?
share, please.
You know, I know the 4 should be in your presentation. However, I think sometimes it depends on time. Because when I did the SCORE presentation recently, the time wouldn't allow me to do 4. So I did 3. You know, so I think sometimes you can't get all 4. It depends on the length of the presentation, although mine was close to 30 minutes, but I had other material to cover. So I just used 3 stories.
Well said, Liz. Absolutely well said.
Yeah.
When we also, as we learned, as a rule, the heart story to really deliver in any presentation would be your professional story.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Yes.
if in terms of your time being shortened, so long as you include that in your presentation, you are well ahead of the game. You are on point. But I'm
Yes.
happy with and learn that with the time you had, you got 3 of those stories in there. That's fantastic.
Yes.
Absolutely fantastic. Okay, let's go into rule number 7. Okay, who would be able to guess what rule number 7 is?
Call to action. I don't know.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Call to action.
It is called to
It is call to action. All right, so what exactly is that? So in the virtual world, the call to action ideas can be anywhere between raffling off
Oh,
a
you're
prize.
freezing.
Huh?
There you go. Well, you froze for a bit.
Oh, okay.
You're
You
good
can
now.
virtual call to action ideas range from anywhere between raffling a prize, one winner, email their your email address and pick a winner. You can send a link to sign up for something free and delivered automatically, digitally. Strategy sessions, gifts for everyone. Email you. You can have the viewers email you their address, and you send them something to all digitally. Or lastly, you can ask everyone to enter their contact information in the chat, and so you'll have it and send them something later. These are all kind of good call to action ideas, and you're not definitely limited to those, but those certainly these that are given provide probably the strongest call to action that you would have. Dr. Renee, you need more time? Does anyone need more time to take a picture? Because I saw that you held your camera up. Did you get it? Okay. Now, when speaking live or virtual, always bring your A game. So now, what does that mean? First and foremost, let's dress professionally. Next, let's also bring high energy into the arena. Hand gestures are always encouraged. Seeing people really seeing people with your body at work, in movement. One of the things that is very important to point out here, as we transition from this physical realm to the virtual realm, one of the significant things that stands out is that you're more in control of this environment than what you were formerly in terms of the physical realm. So there is going to be a little bit more that is going to be required to attain one's attention, let alone to be engaged. And so a different level of energy is definitely going to be recommended, encouraged. Hand gestures, you're dressing professionally, having it's not just now about just the shirt and tie. It could be your attire will now need to make a statement. The colors that you would use, certain styles you may have, even your hairstyle will make a statement. So there's things in the virtual world now we've got to pay a little bit more detail and awareness to, unlike when we were in the physical world. Standing and deliver. This is something that definitely Arvee encourages us in terms of stand and deliver. What is meant by that is we're going to have to look at standing up in our presentations as opposed to a sitting down position. The standing position really helps us in our posturing. Now, with me being 6'4", I've got to make some adjustments, to that. Of course, I'm sitting today, but that's certainly as I make that transition, I'm looking to adapt and get my stand-up table and deliver from a standing position. There's a certain command that we're looking to have to present ourselves with when we're in the virtual world. So having a standing posture is definitely will help in our ways of attentiveness. It also helps in our way of being present to those people in whom we are addressing, for and trying to create an aliveness during our presentation. Looking into the camera, that's going to be absolutely key. When we're telling stories, sometimes we get lost in terms of where our eye lines go. So it's going to be really important at times to not start to focus our eyes instead of on the screen in the mosaic of faces, thinking that's where we ought to look to, instead rather to look directly into the camera and making eye contact. When we start giving a presentation, I mean, our presentation is not just, even though you may have 10, 50 or 100 people, the conversation is generally going to be with one. Everybody's going to be looking at you. So your eye contact, your eye level conversation should be right there in that web camera, and you being engaging as possible with that viewer based on your eye contact. So always look into the camera. Latest trends. Some of the latest trends would be is looking at new tools, new microphones, backdrops, party props, things that make the Zoom call a lot more entertaining. And so you'll see that there are going to be new tools. You may need some webcam lighting to enhance things from facial features. So always little tools to dress and colorize your set as well as to color you. You might even think about some funny glasses or maybe a magic mirror kind of speaking, or actually even more so those hand paddles that Arvee created. I think those are absolutely so cool that when we can flash millions and that's cool with that, it's absolutely perfect. And I am so jealous because mine is still lost into the mail to this day. So I've got to get back with Arvee and tell her to please send me another one, because I've been dying to want to flash my that's cool all the time. So happy you guys have have yours, and have actually kept it really well kept too. Very neat. So new tools. So we talked about that. And okay, so our last question for tonight is, when speaking in the virtual arena, you are not in control of your stage, true or false? And let's all, 1, 2, 3, everybody say together the answer, and that is false. Yes. You are in control of everything, your background, lights, sound, and beyond. So there's a lot more responsibility, but with this responsibility, there's also a lot of opportunity. I think the more that when you see what some things you can, I think the biggest message here is to really get excited about your level of creation, as well, as opposed to being overwhelmed by some of the responsibility that you now have in the virtual realm. Not everything, so much when the physical realm, there's a lot of things that were given. You would come into a ballroom, you'd have tables set up, you might even have your easel already set up. Well, now these things are now in your complete control. But one thing I want you to really encourage you to embrace is to embrace your creativity, embrace your energy, and be excited about that opportunity to create and delivering your signature, and just be the people that I know yourselves and are capable of being, and just bring that energy forward. I can't wait to have you guys send me your emails on your upcoming presentations, especially you, Jackie. I've been wanting to, I think you had something coming up this month, right? Yes, no?
I had a presentation last week and then today.
Okay. And by the way, how was that book cover approval? How'd that come out?
I'm still fiddling with it,
Okay.
but I'm going to post it on the Facebook page and try to come down with to the final two.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Jason.
Thank you. All right, now remember everyone, people are waiting for your words. So there's nothing really more strong than what I could share with you today about that than that it's not just my voice, it's our voices put together that really will create the transformation that we are all very much hungry for. And yet every one of us has a message to deliver. And so I encourage you with what you picked up today, these 7 non-negotiable rules, to really embrace the level of creativity. And through that creativity, let your message come through. And you always have Arvee for counsel. We have each other in this network to giving you support. And so I really offer you all my best to each and every one of you. May your message just be strong and mighty and just being yourself. And may your creativity just allow you to make a significant contribution and deliver everything with success, power, and effectiveness. And that is my presentation for today. I want to thank you all for coming through this afternoon. I want to thank my Jedi Master Arvee for this beautiful opportunity, inviting me to come and speak and dress with you all. And now we are opening up the floor for any comments, questions.
Awesome job, Jason.
Yeah, great job. Great job, Jason. I've got to take
Yes,
off
very
for a
good job.
client. I've got to take off for a client, but great to see everyone. I'll see you next week, Tuesday.
Okay.
All right,
right.
great job.
Dr.
All right,
Renee,
take
thank you for
care.
joining us today. Appreciate it.
Oh, fantastic job. Fantastic
Okay.
job.
Thank
Jason,
you.
take care, everyone. All
All
right,
right, you
Okay,
too.
bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, Jackie, do you have any comments, questions?
I don't. I just, you did a phenomenal job today. I took a lot of notes. So thank you very much for doing that. And you bring a great passion to everything that you do. So we can all learn from your passion.
Appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm receiving that. Thank you. And let's go to Liz.
I took a couple pages of notes too. You're very thorough, articulate. You knew the material very well. And thank you very much for taking the lead. I really enjoyed the presentation today.
Thank you. Thank you. And Lisa.
I concur with what Liz, Dr. Renee, and Jackie said. This was a great presentation and very professional. And yeah, I learned a lot. I really did.
And
So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate that. And I saved the best for last because without this man, right now entering my life, there will be no website, there would be no presentation today. Mr. CJ Gilbert, thank you. I wanted to just take an opportunity to acknowledge you being my co-host today. And thank you so much for your presence and your contribution with me this afternoon. Do you have any comments or questions you have?
My pleasure. No, I think you did an excellent job. You covered it. I very much enjoyed it. It flowed, I thought, perfectly, and nothing to ask or add. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I've learned from you, as I learned from everyone in increasingly elaborate ways. I'm grateful, and I have a feeling that I forgot someone. I think I saw Jean on this call. Is Jean still here?
Yes, Jean, unmute.
Jean, unmute.
Hi.
Jane,
I've got like 3 meetings tonight and trying to squeeze supper in and exercise and all that stuff. It's kind of a busy night. So I'm sorry I was kind of in and out and late. But I wanted to hear you, Jason. Even though I've heard Arvee talk about this before, I just wanted to hear your spin on it and your comments on it, and just be here to support you. And I thought you did a wonderful job of this, and I loved your inspirational words at the very end, especially. So that's very personal.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you.
you.
Great having you. It's so good to see you.
You too.
How's the weather out there? Are we because now I think we're cold like the rest, like you are right now. Last night it was 37. I know today it probably was in the low 50s. So where are you right now?
Well, last week we were up in the 70s, and then it quickly changed today. and started raining and cooling off. And so we're going to have a couple of days of this, but then we're going to go back up into the 50s over the next probably 7 days, which is unusual for November. But I'm loving it because I never acclimated back to the cold weather from when I lived in California. So I'm always just way too cold here. So.
Well,
Yeah, it's
I'm going to
not
say
bad.
we're jealous right now. We could probably use that 70 degree weather because it was windy and chilly
Oh,
over this weekend. So yeah, we could take that 70-degree weather. I hope I got some consensus on that because it was quite cold last night. So that's great. That's great. All right, everyone.
yeah.
If we don't have, we're going to end this call early today, which is going to be that's fantastic. And so, but I want to thank you for everyone for your presence. It's not only thank you for being here. I just want to thank you for being. And as in the way that you've been, may we just carry that out into the world, keep touching, moving, and inspiring lives. And as Arvee would always say, when you speak, always speak with passion. Thanks a lot, everybody. I look forward to seeing you all next week when Arvee will be back on the call, and CJ will be co-hosting as well. All right. All right,
Thank
CJ, I
you,
guess we can
Jason.
take us out.
Goodbye,
Everybody
everybody.
good? All right.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you so much.
All
Yeah,
right.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.